The other side that I was speaking of, believe it or not, my ex-wife remarried prior to me getting remarried, right? So my first 3 children lived with her.
I got
So hypocrisy set in on me a little bit now looking back on it. And what I mean by that is I go to visit one day and I hear one of my sons call this man dad. Male ego and pride is a drug, you understand?
Yeah.
So this ate me up inside. I didn't acknowledge it. I didn't want my kid to feel a certain way about it.
Yeah.
This is natural environment. I've entered into your natural everyday environment, you know what I mean? Hot, boiling inside, crushed inside. I was hurt by it, but I was also angry, but I couldn't let on to it in front of my children, you know what I mean?
Welcome to the Dear Son Show. The show about fatherhood for fathers, those with fathers and the fatherless. So nobody's left out. This show has been an amazing ride for me. It's been the most fulfilling when I have somebody to share my thoughts with and exchange some ideas with. And tonight is no different. We got a recurring theme going down. James Johnson is in the building again. He's part of the show. Get used to it. If you don't like it, argue with your insecurities in the comments. It's all fine. James, what's good, my brother?
Everything good, brother. Pay attention. Pay attention.
Pay attention.
That's the theme these days. Pay attention.
Pay attention. That might have to put that on the shirt, but I appreciate you coming back, of course.
I assist.
Last episode drummed up some conversation.
Did it.
Didn't finish, so we gotta make good on that. But I'm
Right.
enjoying having the dialogue, especially with brothers like you that are intentional about their words and just want to help. Right?
Absolutely.
But how you been, man? It's been a few weeks, man. What's been going on with you?
Everything good. We living. I'm struggling. Well, let me not say that. I'm embarking on this new challenge. This
Okay.
hard 75 hard. You know,
Ooh-wee.
it's pretty popular right now, so I'm not gonna go into detail. It's not mine, but
Yeah.
just mind, body, and spirit, man. Trying to get myself in better shape.
Yeah.
Close relative had a medical episode that kind of woke us all up. Like, get your life together. He in far better shape than me.
Yeah.
So, drinking my water, reading daily. That's my big goal. So everything good.
Yeah, man, brings to mind another brother that I'm familiar with through you that had an episode that wasn't timely. Glad he's doing well.
Facts.
But you know, I don't know if 40 is the new 60 or what.
Who you telling?
We gotta start aging this thing backwards. I saw 40 a couple birthdays ago. But I've been seeing some people around our age and younger going through some episodes, man. So
yes, sir.
health is definitely wealth, man. I'm that's funny, man. Keisha, my wife for orientation, challenged me to join her, challenged me to do the challenge with her. I forget the name of it, but it's this circuit training thing.
Yeah.
And I did day one, man. I died right in front of my wife, man.
Listen, that's how it started, though. That's how it started. I'm telling you.
I felt so crazy because this is her second round doing it.
Right.
So she knew what to expect, and she sent me the exercises for the day.
Right.
I didn't realize it was multiple rounds of it.
It's like you finished the round, I'm done. It's like, no, that's round one. Keep
Man,
going.
she sent me the thing. I was like, okay, cool. 1 minute of this, 1 minute. I was like, oh, they're gonna ease into it.
Yeah.
So we go in the garage. We got our little gym set up in the garage.
Right.
And she puts on the video. I'm like, I don't need what we doing? We need the video. We got
4 minutes. I got 4 minutes right here. What we talking about?
So the lady started going off, and the thing that got me, I think push-ups was the fourth thing. Mm-mm. And I was winded.
Right.
I said, wait a minute.
Right.
Wait a minute. All right, so let me hold on before y'all stop clowning me in the comments. I had back surgery last year, right? So when we made that trip to VA, almost a year anniversary, about 10 months ago, ended up having a herniated disc after the road trip, and it had to get what typically is a routine surgery as an emergency.
Right.
Like they looked at the MRI and was like, nah, you can't go home. So right after that, I got COVID. Man. So we came back, the trip was delayed. We drove out there, we had to fly back. Right after that, I got COVID. Now, all of this is an excuse. Let me put a bow on it. All this is an excuse. Like,
gotta dress it up.
Let me get the sympathy.
Died, but we're not gonna talk about it.
Sympathy, empathy, whatever it is. Let me know.
Deathbed.
But I stopped doing stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was eating better, so I've been losing, like I still lost like 30-something pounds, but I'm weak. I was like, man, I can do a set of 50 push-ups.
Nah.
I can do a set of 20.
Yeah. Yeah.
We ain't gonna talk about the number because what is a number, right? That's not.
Strong 10.
What is
Strong 10.
Yeah. Anyway, I died right in front of my wife, and it was like, man, I got to get back on. And that's the most frustrating thing about being unfit is getting fit.
Who you telling?
Oh, the most frustrating thing about getting fit is knowing that you were at a level before.
I was great.
Yeah, you was the athlete.
Yeah. That's what you're telling yourself. Yeah. I was great.
You was the athlete, man. So yeah, man, we, accountability partners like we discussed.
Yeah.
I'm with it. Now that I done put it out there, I don't think I can chop that out of the episode. I'm gonna have to go ahead and live with it.
Yeah.
And the other thing, she found out that somebody we know from back home is doing it again. And she got her husband to do it. And she came to me like,
oh, the pressure.
Yeah, she's like, they want to know if y'all want to, if you want to compete. I'm like, man, I just died.
In front of you, you saw me.
I saw me died. Yeah. She was the most encouraging and accommodating wife. I was like, man, don't tell me I can do it. You just saw that I didn't.
Listen. They work like that, I'm telling you. My wife looked at the last video, man, and she was like, listen, your hands. I was like, I'm a visual learner. I talk with my hands. She was like, what you want me to do? So, that's our biggest critic, man.
Indeed. Well, today we want to talk about family dynamic, right? So we shared some commonalities in our family dynamic.
Right.
For those because it could be somebody's first time. I have 5 children, 3 girls, 2 boys. Today they are 18, 16, 14, 8, and 7 at the time of this recording. Girl, boy, girl, boy. My oldest is not my biological daughter.
Wow. Learning that right here. Learning that right here today. Right. And I know you.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point. I mean, if you saw documentation, you go, oh, why is her last name that? But I want to talk about step.
Yeah.
That term, what does it mean? But before we jump into that, kind of highlight or give people your family dynamic right now.
Same thing. I have 6 kids.
You win. There's no more.
Right. And that's it.
I'm super cool.
Shop closed. So I was married before, had 3 children. My oldest son, 2 boys and a girl from my first marriage. And my oldest son, he's 21 now. And then my son right below him he'll be 18 in November. Then I have a daughter. She's in July, she'll be 12. So now I remarried and I have 3 boys at home that actually live with me right now from my second marriage. But my oldest son there, he's 16 and he's quote unquote would be a step. He's not my biological kid, but that's the joke. Anybody that knows me is, my son. When I talk about any of my kids, they're my children. So I even tell people like, look at him. You see my face in him. He looks just like me. And so they kind of looking at me like, you're getting a little carried away with this thing. In my mind, this my son. Yeah. Like I seriously look for, and I know that's delusional to a point, but I look for, resemblance of myself and my son. Like, look, boy, I got my chest. Look at it.
I don't think it's that far-fetched because my mom does it with our oldest. And I mean, of course, it's not like she doesn't know, but she's like, y'all, when you associate so much with a person and they see how you care for them, I don't know what it is. Psychologically, I'm not qualified to even go down that path. Right. But people have, she's starting to favor you.
Listen.
And I don't know if it's mannerisms or anything, but.
Man, old country saying, they used to say, you feed them long enough, they look like you, baby.
I believe it.
Yeah, that's old country saying.
We have done. So for me, man, I clearly step, as it sounds like for both of us, the step part is not important.
Right.
But lately I've been wondering and kind of doing an assessment of my approach to fatherhood because there was that dynamic, right? And with my oldest, her father was her biological dad, father, whatever word you want to use, her biological father is still alive and was available. How often they engaged is something different. Yeah. But I always kind of had this thing like, you can go up to this point, but there's still always that biological there.
Right.
And our relationship wasn't like him and I now. It's nothing to talk about, good or bad. It's indifferent, right?
Right.
But we were both young early on, and it was more, I don't know if it was just a macho thing, but it kind of warped how I approached her, even though for me, the good thing for me was she was my first experience as a father.
Right.
So it's not like she came into a situation where I'm already treating one child a certain way.
Right.
But I just started, like I said, taking an assessment of it. Like, how am I say that I didn't feel different, but did my actions show anything different? Like, have you, what was your experience with this, especially having children already, establishing a relationship, and then coming into a situation where you were bonus dad, we'll call it that?
Funny thing about that is I got a twofold experience with it, to be honest. I'll speak on mine first. Is when I first arrived, and I knew my current wife and I while we were dating, when I knew we were serious, then I met him and started to interact with him, and
the son.
Yeah, the son.
Okay.
Yeah. My oldest son at the house now. So when we started interacting, it was great, because obviously you don't know what the dynamic is going to be. He was like 7 at the time when I met him, 6, maybe 7. So he's still young, impressionable, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He have some habits, but he don't feel like I know what kind of man I'm going to be, you know what I mean? He's 7. So now it's still a fresh slate, blank canvas. So I'm still able to talk to him and kind of feed into him, pour into him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there were times where I had to check myself about frustrations about, man, why he not getting this, or why he don't see this the way I see it. Genetics is a huge part of who a person is, you know what I mean? Your viewpoint. Sometimes you'll see something the same way your parents do it, not necessarily, but you can, simply because you are a part of them, you in them, you know what I mean? So there was a little learning curve with that, but man, from then, once we got past that, which it was never a riff, I don't want to paint that picture. But, the other side that I was speaking of, believe it or not, my ex-wife remarried prior to me getting remarried, right? So my first 3 children lived with her.
I got
so hypocrisy set in on me a little bit now looking back on it. And what I mean by that is I go to visit one day and I hear one of my sons call this man dad. Male ego and pride is a drug, you understand?
Yeah.
So this ate me up inside. I didn't acknowledge it. I didn't want my kid to feel a certain way about it.
Yeah.
This is natural environment. I've entered into your natural everyday environment, you know what I mean? Hot, boiling inside, crushed inside. I was hurt by it, but I was also angry, but I couldn't let on to it in front of my children, you know what I mean? So back then I'm young and mature. I don't receive it well.
Yeah.
So when I leave, I kind of shoot a hot message to my ex-wife, like, this what y'all doing? This what we got going on, So as I later looked at it, evaluated it, and really got to know dude, good guy, man. And your initial male, you don't want to receive that.
Yeah.
All you know is my son calling another man dad, you know what I mean? Which people told me prior to, they were like, listen, you run the risk of your kids calling another man dad. You're like, when you're done, you're done. Well, really a great dude, man. I don't have a bad thing to say about him.
Right.
And that should have been a testament to me that my kids trusted him enough to call him dad. That should have showed me there he must be doing something right for them to feel like they were able to bond with him and receive it. Well, the same thing in my house. My son called me dad. And so that you'll receive that, but then you're like, it's okay for you to receive it, but you don't want to witness it. You know what I mean? It's kind of that I could dish it, but I can't take it. So I never told him, like, you're going to call me dad. He just felt comfortable enough with me through our bond that he started calling me dad. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that helped me receive that better.
That's crazy, because I was essentially that guy that was just a good dude.
Right.
Right. And I don't know what drove him to have the feelings that he had toward me. It could have been just the principle, just like you were saying. And it's, and also, for more of a backdrop and more context, my wife and I were together before we broke up. When we came back together, she had a child. So I don't know how he saw that,
Right.
or, you know,
Right.
maybe any number of things could run through your mind, because I know I didn't appreciate that it was difficult for my wife early.
Right. Right.
So I'm probably trying to force her to make decisions or giving her ultimatums with either my words or my actions. He might have been doing the same thing because he has technically a right to it. So she
Right.
was in the middle trying to play to both sides, not in the sense of maintaining a relationship with him, but not being the baby mom that's perceived to be difficult.
Right.
And also, she didn't know her birth father. So there's all these dynamics playing into our situation that I wasn't mature enough to appreciate it. How did the women play into the scenario, I guess, on both sides of it for you? Night and day,
man. It's I try to keep I try to keep stories about my ex real vanilla, and I'm an open book. I really don't care about talking about anything, but I'm just mindful of not coming across as bashing. But
hey, you know I don't want that. Just for everybody again, this could be your first time.
Yeah.
This ain't a bashing platform.
Right.
We give enough context to appreciate the conversation, but I don't want the story that you don't want to have out.
Right. Which is why I'm trying to give you the plain, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of, in my opinion, and based on the actions that I've seen, she wants me to have nothing to do with my children, my ex-wife. Nothing.
Yeah.
It's a matter of this didn't work because of I chose for it not to work, as opposed to we were no longer compatible and a bunch of other things. You know what I mean? Without going in depth.
Yep.
But my wife, my current wife, she was dead set against that. She was like, no, we're not doing this. Like, let's engage. Let's talk. Let's reach out. Let's call, text. So it worked for a little while. I was able to get my middle son, my second oldest from my first marriage, to come spend 2 weeks in the summer with me here and there. She would not allow my daughter to come. She didn't want me to form a bond with my youngest daughter. And these are her words, not mine. And my oldest boy by now had seen so much of the turmoil during the breakup that he, in my opinion, he formed his opinion based on what he was experiencing. You know what I mean? He was 7 at the time, I suppose. So, by now he's like, I'm over this. Like, I don't know what this is. So I have in my household the peacemaker, the common sense, the drive of, regardless of what the misunderstanding is, let's these children, you understand? And I'm on that. It's always the greater good of the kids far exceed whatever adult misunderstanding or foolishness you got going on, in my opinion. So if it's gonna make them sound human beings, in front of them, everybody need to get along.
Yeah.
Me and my wife, your mom and your dad that's there, her and her husband, we need to all be adults in this situation. But 3 people were, 1 person was not. And that kind of crashed it, you know what I mean? So, and that's hard to witness, man. That's like, you see what this doing?
Yeah. Did it at any point consciously adjust the way that you parent?
With my current, just period in general?
Yeah.
You know what? I went through a spiteful phase. And just looking back on it, it was ignorance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So hurt, so dry, so over, going through the same roller coaster of emotions with it, to where you block it out, biggest regret I don't operate in the regret realm, but that is the single regret I have in my life.
Right.
Is I feel like I gave up too easy, trying to reach out, trying to connect, trying to bond. I should have kept going. It hurt.
Yeah.
If I go there and you tell me, hey, I don't care that you just drove 6 hours to come be here or see them, you're not seeing them. Okay, we'll try again next time. That's hard though. That's easier said than done, man, because that's eating you alive. It's tearing you up. You angry. You know, I don't have the best history with a temper anyway. So now all of that's surfacing, you know, now everything frustrates you. Everything make you mad. But then if you get to the root of the problem, it has nothing to do with what's in front of you.
Right.
You mad about, I don't have a relationship with my kids. You know what I mean? So now you're trying to reach out to this person and it's just not working. So then you have to consciously make sure that you're not overcompensating with your kids that do live with you.
That part.
You know,
Yeah.
Now you super duper uber dad with these kids.
Right.
Or you trying to be too dry, too detached because you feel guilty that, oh man, I'm doing so much for my kids here in my house, but I'm not doing this for my kids that don't live here. I don't want to be that guy. So now I'm hurting them, but I'm hurting them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I'm overcompensating and doing too much with these kids, I'm hurting them and I'm hurting them. So what's the common ground? You just have to be who you are. Give the love that you know to give. You know your kids. I have 6 kids and they all 6 have different personalities.
Algorithms. That's what I say.
Right. So you have to meet that kid where they are.
Yeah. One
like to talk. One, if you don't talk to him for 2 days, he in heaven. You know what I mean? So that kind of stuff. And I just had to learn that, man. That was a lesson.
I understand that. My challenge was, again, like, do I really have this authority over him, right?
Right.
The worst thing that she could have ever said to me, she never did.
Right.
You ain't my real dad.
Right.
Like, that was always a thing that was looming, like, let me, sometimes I found myself dancing around certain things where it's like, if I do this, she gets an attitude, reaches out to the other side of the family. Now there's this thing happening that just becomes drama, right? I used to be paranoid about stuff like that. So it gets to points where, and then I think about it, probably frustrated Keisha was just like, it's not my call. You know what I'm saying? And it's because she's going to visit her other side of the family. Like, well, question or conversation? Like, I mean, what we, like,
you're telling me? You're asking me what we're doing?
I don't know. The double dutch. You know what I'm saying? And again, like, I didn't appreciate what, because it's not just the father, it's that family, right?
Right.
And in many cases, it was that family reaching out to spend time or to have engagement more than it was him. And again, whatever he was going through. The funny twist is that he became that person too. He married somebody, as I understood it, and he became me in the situation. See?
Right.
Right. But and this is, a matter of years ago. Now she's 18, and I'm saying this because I wanted to facilitate a conversation in some relationships where that may be the struggle, right?
Yeah.
And of course, the solution to everything is good communication. Or understanding. Communication is just exchanging the words, and we're agreeing to have this exchange, but not necessarily understanding each other.
Well, to your point on that, that's funny. Not to interrupt you, but my current wife is very close with her ex-in-laws, right? So when I first met her, I really wouldn't. I didn't see. My background, that didn't make sense to me. And that's before I knew them. We're done. You understand? Like, what we talking about? But I met them very early on. Even while we were dating, I met her ex-in-laws. Yeah. And great people, man. Listen, I've yet to meet a person in that family that I don't like for real, seriously. So I understood it at that point. And not to mention that, it's my son's family. You understand? Yeah.
It's your son's
It's my son's family. So I can't have a problem with that. So that wiped all of that out. Right. But recently, like I'm talking a couple months ago, his biological reached out with hey, what are you doing this summer? I want him to come with me. My initial knee-jerk reaction was, my son not going down there. What are we talking about? Right. So I had to check myself. I had to reel that in, like, ooh, I'm out of line. Yeah. Because I experienced something like that to that effect and with my kids. Yeah. I don't want to be that person, but I'm guarded over this dude. This is my son. You know what I mean? I don't.
But see, even that is coming from a good place because you're acting as a parent.
Yeah, it's not out of spite.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to hate on dude. This your ex-husband. I don't care about none of that. This is my son. I don't know enough about what you currently have going on to make me at ease about my son going wherever you are and whatever you got going.
What we doing this summer?
What we doing this summer? Because we got plans, son. You got this summer basketball. We got these vacations. We got these trips. We living. I don't know. I don't have no problem, but how you gonna squeeze it in?
See, that's the fun thing. Like, how do you balance it? How do you balance I don't even say it's guarded. It's the parent instinct because you're the majority parent.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
They have a right to this. Is that the right word? They
do?
Yeah, they're a right. Make sure I'm saying the right word. They got a right to this person and an expectation because they're biologically a parent too. And especially when there's no static, which it doesn't sound like in that part of the relationship there wasn't.
Right.
It's tough, right? And if there's not, if I could replay it to help somebody, I would make sure I would have been more vocal about how I felt about the decisions being made. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, it was, this thing is happening. And like you, I'm like, but how you know we won't plan this something? Or probably in my case, how you know I won't plan this something? Because our communication won't as great. But you got to consider all of those things because it's like the outliers become such a impact to your life at any moment. I mean, that's the variable that just pop up like, I'm here.
Right.
I'm here. I'm next one. And it's crazy because there were times where I thought, even after processing it, that's probably not a good environment to send the sender. But what do you?
It's a conversation.
How do you win?
It's a conversation because the middle ground is, I'm not saying no. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to deprive you of this right, or better yet, my son of that right. Because the only thing gonna happen is once they get older, they gonna yearn for that anyway and seek it out. And then it's turned to you that you were the roadblock. You know what I mean? That person gonna be like, hey, I got right here. I got receipts. I've been trying to call you, reach out, text. Your dad at the house said he wasn't comfortable with it. Well, now, here comes that radar. Like, man, you cut my dad out of my life. You know what I mean? Like, I could have had both of y'all and been good. We could have made that work. The middle ground is, listen, not now. Work up to it. You can't drop out the sky and be like, hey, give me my son. Let me hang out with him for 2 months.
For June and July, what's in the bag?
Come on, brother. Call 7 days in a row, and then let's talk this amount of time. Let's interact. Let me get a feel for you. Let's have adult conversations. Have some conversations and interaction with our son as well. Build a relationship to where now I'm comfortable, he comfortable, she comfortable. We good. If we don't build up to it, you can't just drop out the sky with the give him to me. We're going to jump out this plane. No, sir.
I wonder for the listening or the watching audience, how many relationships that were similar to what we're describing had the maturity for the parents, both sets, to have discussions about collectively how do we want this child to turn out? Brilliant. The majority of the conversations that I hear or have participated in, it's about my time. I need to get my time with the child. They're supposed to come with me. Guilty. But what do we collectively, how do we want this child to turn out? Does anybody
talk about that?
Talk about that.
Me, mine. Me, I'm guilty. I was grinding and running and surviving and making this living and building this company and this empire. And I look up, it's been 3 months. Here come the summer. Hey, what the kids doing, man? You still not letting me get my kids? Let me get my kids. And I'm guilty. Double standard king. You know what I mean? I have a certain expectation, but I'm not holding myself to that expectation. I'm popping up out the blue. That same guy. Hey, what's going on? Where my kids at? You don't let me get my time with my kids. Again, now that I've lived it and saw it, it's like looking in the mirror. The things and the problems I have with dude, I was that dude at one point with my first 3 kids, you understand?
Wow.
But it took me learning and maturing and experiencing it to get past yourself. You're wrapped up in yourself. You keeping my kids from me. Yeah. I'm keeping the kids from you because where you been, what you doing, what you got going right now, what's your current living situation. You're in my business. Don't worry about what I'm doing. My kids safe. They my kids.
Right.
You saying you don't trust me with my kids?
Yeah. It's all of that.
Right.
All of the things.
Right.
Did you? When did you get past that point? Was it conscious?
Hearing myself talk out loud about it, honestly, and that's kind of a norm in my life, man. Sometimes, not to go too heavy, but a lot of times you'll be talking to somebody about an issue or a problem they having, and the universe will put something on your spirit to say. You talking to them and yourself, and you don't even know it until it come out of your mouth.
Yeah.
And you hear yourself, and I'll make a mental note. Man, I'm doing that too. I'm guilty. And so I'll adjust. And sometimes I don't recognize it about myself until I'm talking to the next man about his problem. You know, we masters at other people's problems.
Yeah.
Man, you know what you need to do, don't you? And then so when you start talking about it, you're like, God, I just feel short on that myself. I'm tripping.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, again, for those that are just joining just jumping on the network, joining the family, right? Anytime you watch, you join the family. Just had a conversation with my son, and I don't know the order of these, but basically wearing the same thing. It's a uniform of sorts. And he asked me a question that when I answered it, it was that experience.
I'm telling you.
Like,
I'm telling you.
I'm not going to give it up for the episode. Go watch the episode. But he was asking me some things, and my son is 14. This is the child number 3. He was asking me some things that made me think about how I'm dealing with him and the need to deal with me so that I can deal with him properly.
Absolutely.
That's a crazy thing.
And that's deep. And it you need that to poke you.
Yeah.
And it gets your wheel turning like, man. And I got to give him his props. Listening to him, he sparked some stuff in me to go have conversations with my son.
Right.
Hey, son, hit me with something. What you got for me? What you need? What, you know, I don't want to give the episode away either. But hey, young man inspired me. I got to go home and have a conversation.
Man, that's that helps me in the sense that encourages me that something is sticking. Yeah. Right? Because sometimes it's like, man, are you here? Right. Are you on earth right now?
That's that generation, man. I think they lose it all in that hoodie. Yeah. You know, they wear these sweats and hoodies.
Oh my God.
And I think everything we're giving them falling in that hoodie.
Year round. Year round.
100 degrees. You got a hoodie on.
Wow, man. I wanna wrap it, but it's another conversation that I want to have. Yeah. In terms of the limitation, or if there are limitations on not just step, but in this case, since we're talking about that's the topic. Mm-hmm. Is there anything you not regret? Is there anything that concerns you more about the relationships with your sons versus your daughter because of how things have transpired?
Absolutely. The biggest thing that sticks out for me is I don't have a relationship with my daughter at all. And that's huge, man. And it's 2022, United States of America. Yeah. And it's a young lady of color. Right. And I'm a black father. Yeah. And I don't have a relationship with my young black daughter. And that terrifies me. Yeah. My saving grace is I know she has a relationship with the man that's in her house. I'm not there day to day. I don't know what's what or how genuine every moment is, you know what I mean? Right. Sometimes there are times where you just don't have that biological bond to a child that maybe something that they dealing with or going through don't hit or touch you the same. Yeah. You're a little bit disconnected just from that factor. You can't help that. You know, that's human nature. Yeah. So I'm fearful of perhaps the pain that I know I have to face in life later.
Yeah.
When I'm getting word that she's getting married, you know what I'm saying? She's having children, and perhaps she still has not, we have not come to a point where I can bond and fix that, you know what I mean? And interact, man. So, man, that day coming.
That
what
is,
I'm gonna do.
I mean, I definitely don't,
Man.
I don't have that answer, but it makes me think about, I have very similar concerns, and I'm the guy that's in the house with the daughter. Does she at some point have these abandonment thoughts? Because I've asked my wife about it. My wife, because the father that she had was so present, she said it didn't impact her in a way that she felt unwanted or less than or anything like that, because she had, but I don't know if that's just her not dealing with it or acknowledging it. Like that terrifies me, of still that switch of, but you ain't my real dad. Like
that'll kill me. If my son ever hit me with that, that'll kill me, man. Yeah. He's never done it. He's never even alluded to such or having that feeling or those thoughts, but man, that'll kill me.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would handle it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I try to be mindful of how, I don't want to overly impose my will on it, but I never think about it. And maybe because it's a boy, you know, young ladies are more emotional.
Yeah.
And I feel like some of the pressure I've put on him, if I was even remotely close to that on a daughter in that same situation, flirting with, I could see how that could absolutely lurk in my mind. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, my brother, I appreciate it as always. The people will see your face. A man said he wants in, so he's in. He said he wants in.
Sign me up. Let's go.
And also shout out to DFW Film Crew, our production partners, where this is a very vital piece of building this network. We're serious about it. We're serious about having content that resonates and moves the right people at the right time.
Right.
It's not a numbers game for me. If and when that happens, it's cool. But these are purpose-driven conversations and other content that we'll be putting out. If you made it this far, if you're on YouTube, please make sure that you're subscribed and hit the notification bell. YouTube be YouTubing. They tell you what's going on when they want to. If you're on the audio platforms, make sure you're following the podcast, like it, rate the episode if you can, or at least rate the podcast as a whole. On Apple, I think you can do it on Spotify as well. We want to grow this thing. We want this thing to be organic, and we want it to be meaningful, not just content, shuffled in with everything else that, that life presents. There's enough of the other content out there. So if we could just be the healthy balance, that'll be cool. I think that's going to do it for this episode. I look forward to more conversations. The format that you're seeing now, it will be sprinkled in throughout. We'll still have other conversations in the other studio, but we're trying to give it a production value that compels you to stay in the conversation, and we wanted to be excellent. So with that, we appreciate you guys. God bless you. Peace.